Dad's voice wasn't the first threat that morning. The first was the envelope taped to my front door, unmarked, cheap printer paper inside, with 5 words in bold: "Stay quiet or she burns." No signature, no return address. Just those words and a Polaroid of my sister Claire in her wedding dress, standing under a tree I recognized from our childhood backyard, the one Mom made us pose under every Easter like some twisted tradition. This photo wasn't from last week's dress fitting. It was from 6 years ago, when she was 17. I stood there on my porch in my hoodie and coffee-stained pajama pants, heart climbing into my throat. My phone buzzed just as I flipped the photo over. Nothing but a date, burned into memory. The day after Claire disappeared for 24 hours and came home quiet. Dad's name flashed across the screen. I didn't answer. I knew what he'd say anyway. Knew because he always opened with threats when he was hiding something. And sure enough, the voicemail came seconds later. All bark and bite. "If you don't show up to your golden sister's wedding, we'll cut your tuition." No hello, no warmth. Just a swing to the throat like I was still 19 and curled under his thumb. But the old leverage doesn't work when you're not dangling anymore. What he didn't know, I'd paid off my tuition 3 years ago. Quietly. Money from a startup I never told them about. A business I built from scraps in my dorm room while they were too busy polishing Claire's perfect little halo to notice I was even breathing. I sat down at my desk, flipped the photo over again. That tree, that dress, that date. Something wasn't right. And Dad, snapping about the wedding like it was some holy pilgrimage. I could hear the panic under the bravado, which meant something else. This wedding wasn't just about Claire walking down the aisle. It was about covering something up. I pulled up my encrypted backup drive and typed in a password I hadn't used in years. Claire Cry 2000. The folder blinked open. Photos. Screenshots. A voicemail from Claire herself that she later denied leaving, her voice slurred, terrified. I'd archived everything back then, when no one would listen. Even Mom said I was too dramatic and jealous of your sister's light. But now, after all these years, someone else was watching too. Someone who knew about that night. Someone who didn't want the wedding to happen either. That's when the second envelope slid through the mail slot. I didn't even hear the footsteps. Just the soft flick of paper on wood. This one had no photo. Just a USB drive. And a note in messy Sharpa. "Play this before the vows. She deserves the truth." My hand shook as I picked it up. I hadn't spoken to Claire in nearly 2 years. Not since the Christmas dinner where I made the mistake of bringing up that name, the name Dad banned from the house. Claire had cried. Dad had slapped the table hard enough to shatter a wine glass, and I walked out with blood in my mouth and a flash drive of my own in my pocket. But now, someone wanted the truth spilled, and they'd chosen me as the messenger. I smiled, because for once, I wasn't just the scapegoat. I was the fuse. And this wedding? It was about to burn. The drive clicked into my laptop like a final breath before detonation. No label, no folder tree, just one video file titled vowbreaker_final. I hovered over it for a second, just long enough to feel my heart shift from suspicion to dread. I hit play. The screen stayed black for 2 seconds. Then a handheld shot of a bedroom. Familiar wallpaper, floral with those tacky gold streaks Mom swore were elegant. Claire was in the frame. Younger, pale. Her makeup smeared like she'd tried to hide something in a hurry. She was sitting on the edge of a bed that didn't belong to her. And next to her, smiling like a game show host on cocaine, was Marcus.
Marcus Dades Protégé.
Our family's beloved youth pastor turned business partner. The man Claire wasn't supposed to be alone with after the incident. The man whose name got me exiled from Thanksgiving. Claire wasn't talking in the video. She was staring into the lens like someone dared her to blink. Marcus did all the talking, pacing, grinning, drunk. I told her she didn't have to say yes, he said, gesturing to Claire like she was some prize he won at a church raffle. But hey, who can resist a man of God with a Lexus at a lake house? I slammed the laptop shut. My chest felt like it had been hollowed out with an ice cream scoop. I'd always known something happened back then. I just never had proof. And now that I did, there was no going back. I opened my phone. 10 missed calls from Dad. 1 voicemail from Claire. Her voice was shaky, half-whisper, like she was calling from a bathroom stall. Please don't ruin this for me.
Please.
You don't understand. If he leaves me now, everything falls apart. Just come to the wedding. Pretend. It's all I'm asking.
Pretend.
Like we all did. Like Mom did when she found Claire sobbing on the laundry room floor, wrists red. Like Dad did when he moved Marcus into the guest house and started calling him family. My thumb hovered over her contact, but instead of calling her back, I opened a private group chat. 3 names: my old college roommate, a freelance wedding videographer, my lawyer cousin who owed me for bailing him out in Vegas, and Kat, my co-founder, hacker, and ex-girlfriend with a vendetta against every man with a god complex. Me got a wedding. Got a USB. Got a target.
Who's in?
Kat responded instantly. If we're burning a church wedding to the ground, I'm bringing marshmallows. Good. Because I was done being the quiet one. The golden sister wanted me to pretend. Dad wanted me to obey. Marcus wanted me silent. But I had the truth.
And a mic.
And in 3 days, I was walking into that wedding with a flash drive, a plan, and enough gasoline to torch the whole damn illusion. Let them all pray. I was the storm. 3 days later, I stood in the back row of St. Hilary's Cathedral, dressed in a black suit I hadn't worn since Grandma's funeral, the one Claire refused to attend because grief ages the skin. The pews were packed with Ohio's finest, family friends with fake laughs, old women clutching pearls like they knew something wicked was coming, and men who shook Dad's hand like it was still 1997, and he still ran things. Marcus stood at the altar, smug in a cream tux that made him look like a televangelist Ken doll. He wore confidence like cologne, too thick, too strong, reeking of desperation. Claire hadn't come down the aisle yet. That gave me 10 minutes to do what I came to do. Kat was already in the choir loft, behind the organ with her laptop open and a fiber line running down into the church's AV box. She was dressed like a goth bridesmaid who got lost on the way to prom. Black veil, red boots, no patience. In my earpiece, her voice crackled. We're live. Feed hijack ready. One push and every screen in this sanctified dump becomes pay-per-view. I looked across the room and saw my dad near the front, jaw clenched, whispering something to the pastor. He didn't see me, but I wasn't here to be seen. I was here to detonate. The USB was in my coat pocket. The video from the flash drive was now edited, time-stamped, watermarked, and paired with a confession Claire left on a burner voicemail 2 years ago. Kat had layered it over wedding bells and soft piano. Artful. Savage. But just as I slipped into the side aisle to head toward the AV booth, someone grabbed my wrist.
Tight.
Familiar. I turned.
Mom.
Her eyes were wild.
Wet.
Mascara run wet. Full-on panic-drenched. You can't do this, she hissed. Please, not today, not in front of everyone. You knew, I said. Not a question. I didn't, she stammered, then corrected herself. I didn't want to believe it.
We handled it, she said.
Handled it? I snapped, keeping my voice low as a hymn started. You mean buried it like everything else? She looked older than I remembered. Smaller. Like regret had been chewing on her bones for years. I'm begging you, she whispered. Just let her have this. Let her be happy. Happiness built on blackmail isn't happiness, I said. It's hostage-taking with frosting. I pulled my arm from hers.
She didn't follow.
She just stood there wringing her hands like Pontius Pilate with a manicure. Up in the balcony, Kat's voice came through again. All cameras online. Ready when you are, truth bomb. The music swelled. Claire stepped into the aisle. She looked radiant.
Scared.
Someone walking toward her own execution with a smile duct-taped on. Then Dad spotted me. His face cracked like wet concrete. Rage, fear, something else, dread. He started moving. Too late. I slid the USB into the AV port behind the altar just as the pastor lifted his hand to speak. And the screens, all of them, flickered black. Then, I told her she didn't have to say yes.
Gasps.
Screams. Someone dropped a wine glass. Marcus's face drained of color as his own voice echoed across the cathedral. Claire stood frozen halfway down the aisle, bouquet trembling. The pastor fumbled his Bible. And my father, that son of a bitch, charged the altar. I didn't run. I turned and faced him, because I wasn't here to hide. I was here to end it. He lunged at me like a linebacker in a Gucci tie, knocking over a flower stand on his way down the aisle. The choir gasped. Aunt Lorna shrieked. I sidestepped just enough to let him stumble past me into the AV cart, where he yanked the cord from the projector like it was my throat. But the damage was done. The video kept playing, across phones, live streams, even the giant monitor outside the church. Kat had seeded it everywhere. Reddit, Facebook, even the neighborhood HOA page for extra spice. It was going viral in real time, and no yank of a cord was gonna unlight that match. Think this is justice? Dad spat, red-faced, his spit dotting my shirt like holy water. You're killing her. No, I said. You did. I'm just dragging the coffin into daylight. Behind him, Claire hadn't moved. Her eyes were locked on the screen now, where her own tear-streaked face stared back, haunted and 18 again. The guests were peeling away like wallpaper in a hurricane. Gasps turned to mutters. Phones were up, recording, live tweeting, hashtagging our family's implosion. Hashtag Goldsister and hashtag No More was already trending. And Marcus?
Gone.
Vanished like a coward in a puff of cologne and sin. Kat's voice crackled in my earpiece again. Runner fleeing out the back door. Parking lot cam has him heading for a black Escalade. Want me to tip the press? Yes, I said without hesitation. Send them the clip and the tax records. Claire's bouquet slipped from her hands.
She didn't cry.
She didn't scream. She just walked forward, past the pastor, past Marcus's empty spot, and straight up to me. I braced for a slap. Instead, she whispered, "Why now?" "Because no one else ever would," I said. And I got tired of pretending silence was love. She nodded. Just once. And then, without a word to anyone, she tore the veil from her head and walked straight out of the church. Alone. Dad collapsed onto a pew like the wind had finally been knocked out of him. Mom followed Claire, shaking, nails clicking like gunshots down the marble aisle. The church was silent now, save for the glitchy hum of feedback still hissing from the speakers. I stood in the wreckage, heart racing, sweat dampening the back of my neck. Then my phone buzzed. A new message. No number, just one line. That wasn't the only tape. My blood ran cold. Kat's voice again. What the hell does that mean? I don't know, I whispered. But deep down I did. This wedding was never the end. It was just the match. The real fire hadn't even started. I didn't go home. I drove in circles around town for hours, windows down, letting the cold bite my face while my thoughts ran feral. That message, that wasn't the only tape, sat in my gut like a swallowed nail. I replayed every detail from the church, every look exchanged, every tremor in Claire's voice, and something kept tightening its grip around my ribs. The veil, the voicemail, the fact that Marcus ran without a word, not just guilt, fear. And that terrified me more than anything. Kat pinged me again, voice sharp now. Still no response from Claire. Marcus's car is parked at the old Elk Motel off Route 3. Got security cam footage of him checking in solo. Want to do a little midnight recon? Elk Motel, I muttered. Of course. Nothing says man of God like hourly rates and stained carpets. I swung the car toward Route 3. 20 minutes later, I was parked across from the motel, engine off, watching flickering neon reflect off cracked windshields and broken promises. Kat's rental car sat 3 spaces down, tinted windows rolled halfway. She popped the door and slid into my passenger seat like a noir character reborn with caffeine and vengeance. She handed me a burner phone. Press play. The screen lit up to a grainy video, time-stamped 4 months ago. Same wallpaper, same bed. Different girl. Not Claire. She couldn't have been older than 17. I watched in silence as Marcus entered the frame again, all performative charm and snake oil smiles. This time, he was holding a bottle of champagne and a pink folder. On the corner of the folder, consent forms, charity fund. I paused it, throat dry. How many more of these? Kat looked at me, eyes narrowed. Depends how deep you want to dig. This guy's not just scum, he's organized. Folders match donation logs from your dad's foundation. Girls from the mentorship program. All under 18. My pulse thundered. And my dad. Either complicit, she said coldly, or criminally blind. Neither was a comfort. I opened the car door, blood buzzing like static. You going in there? She asked. I'm not knocking. I didn't need to. The motel clerk owed me a favor. Long story involving 2 DUIs and a secret third cousin. 5 minutes later, I had a spare key to room 9, and the sickest feeling I'd ever known blooming behind my sternum. I unlocked the door. Empty. No Marcus. Just a half-eaten sandwich, a briefcase, and a laptop still open, screensaver cycling through a slideshow of Claire. Photos she never posed for. Private ones. The kind that made my hands curl into fists. I took the laptop. The whole damn briefcase. I didn't even flinch when I heard the bathroom door creak open behind me. Marcus stepped out, towel around his waist, froze mid-step.
You.
I turned slowly. Hey, Pastor, I said. You forgot your vows. Then I swung the briefcase into his gut, so hard he folded like cheap luggage. He dropped to the floor gasping, red-faced, wheezing like a balloon animal on its last breath. I knelt beside him. You're going to do something for me? I whispered. He looked up, choking. You're going to write a full confession. Dates, names, accounts. I want it in writing. I want it notarized. Or I swear to every god you've ever lied about, I will make your life so small it'll fit inside a cell block file drawer. His lips quivered. You don't have proof. I held up the USB from his own damn laptop. I have you. And when I left that room, I took everything. But what I didn't know, not yet, was that Marcus wasn't the end of this chain. There were more names in that folder. One of them was Claire. Not as a victim. As a co-signer. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't even pretend. Just sat in Kat's apartment, lights off, fridge humming like a dying animal, and stared at the folder Marcus had locked in his briefcase. Not digital. Physical. The kind of records paranoid men keep when they know they've made too many enemies to trust the cloud. Inside. 8 consent forms. 8 girls. All minors at the time. And at the bottom of the stack, clipped together like an afterthought, a notarized partnership agreement. A name typed in cheap ink under co-sponsor. Claire and Delaney.
Me.
I must have read it 20 times before I believed it. The signature was real. Dated 2 years ago.
Witnessed.
Her name wasn't buried. It was bold, like she wasn't just aware of the scheme. She was in it. Kat sat across from me, chewing the inside of her cheek raw. You think she knew what she was signing? No, I said. I think she knew exactly what she was signing. Because Claire wasn't stupid. She was brilliant, terrifyingly so. She got straight A's while faking anxiety attacks to skip gym class. She could manipulate tears like actors manipulate lighting. And she knew how to play our parents like a violin made of gilt and porcelain. That girl I defended, protected, she hadn't just been a victim. She'd become a mirror of them. And now I had proof. The door buzzed. I grabbed the burner phone and moved to the peephole.
Claire.
No makeup. Wet hair. Hoodie zipped high like she was trying to disappear. She looked different now, raw, stripped of her golden glow. Kat stood. You want me to stay? No, I said. She'll never talk if you're here. Kat grabbed her laptop and slid out the back. Claire walked in seconds later, slow and quiet, like she wasn't sure whether to sit or start screaming. You torched my wedding, she said flatly. You torched yourself the second you signed that partnership. She didn't blink. So you saw it. All of it. Claire sat down across from me, folded her hands like we were about to pray. You think I wanted any of this? No, I said. I think you wanted power. And you were willing to become the people who hurt you just to get it. She winced. You don't know what it's like. You're right, I snapped. I don't know what it's like to sell out other girls to protect your own damn reputation. She flinched at that. Then softer. It started with hush money. That's all. Marcus said if I signed, he'd destroy the tapes from before. Wipe the past clean. Said I'd never have to explain anything to Dad or Mom or the church. And you believed him? No, she said. I just didn't care anymore. Silence. She looked at me like I was supposed to hug her, forgive her, rescue her like I always had. But I didn't move. I'm not burning for you again, Claire. I know. And then something shifted. She reached into her hoodie pocket and slid a worn envelope across the table.
Here, she said.
It's everything. Bank accounts, names, donations. Dad's signatures, too. I stared at it. You're turning on him. I'm tired, she whispered. Of pretending. Of hiding. Of being the daughter he wanted instead of the person I actually am. I picked up the envelope. It was heavy. Too heavy to be nothing. So what now? I asked. Her eyes met mine. I testify, she said. You leak. Marcus goes down.
Dad, too.
And if I burn with them, so be it. I didn't trust her, but I believed her. Because for the first time since we were kids, Claire looked free. But something still didn't sit right. Kat called an hour later. Her voice was tight. Alert. You're not gonna like this. What? The money trail. It doesn't end with Marcus. I already knew what she'd say next. I felt it in my bones. Your dad's boss. Senator Holloway. He's the one funding the whole program. The real monster wasn't even in the church. He was in Washington. Senator Gotham Holloway. I should have seen it. The man's face was plastered across every local billboard like a used car salesman wrapped in the American flag. Family, faith, freedom. Turns out he forgot to add a fourth F. Felonies. Kat's voice in my ear was calm, surgical, but I could hear the storm rising underneath. Found wire transfers from Holloway's PAC routed through Shell Charities into your dad's foundation. Clean on paper. But then it hits Marcus's mentorship programs, which go dark after 6 months. No audits, no receipts. Just withdrawals and silence. How much? I asked. She hesitated. 2.8 million. I nearly dropped the burner phone. Jesus. Not quite, she muttered. More like his evil accountant. The envelope Claire gave me. Suddenly, it wasn't just a confession. It was a smoking gun. And in the wrong hands, it was a death sentence. I met Kat at our usual war room, a crumbling storage unit behind an abandoned Blockbuster, where we kept our gear, backups, burner laptops, and enough energy drinks to legally qualify as biohazards. She was already loading the files onto an encrypted flash drive, teeth clenched, hoodie half-zipped like a battle flag. This is bigger than viral revenge, she said. This is federal. You ready to go nuclear? Not yet, I said. We do this wrong. Holloway walks and takes Claire and half the state with him. So, what's the play? I glanced down at the file. We bait him. Her eyebrow lifted. We leak just enough to scare him. Make him think someone's flipping. He'll panic. And when he tries to bury it, I looked her dead in the eye. We catch him in the act. And then we drop the full dossier on a live-streamed press conference, so hot it makes Watergate look like a middle school food fight. Kat smirked. You're really gonna drag a sitting senator with your golden sister and a $60 thumb drive? No, I said. We're going to. Together. And that's how we found ourselves 2 days later at the downtown Marriott, room 407, across the hall from where Senator Holloway was scheduled to speak at a Youth Opportunity Summit. The irony nearly made me puke. Claire was with us. Shaky, pale, hair pulled back tight like she could control the guilt if she kept it under tension. She hadn't spoken much since the envelope. Just clutched that stupid locket Mom gave her, the one with the fake diamond and the quote from Proverbs etched inside. Kat was rerouting the room's AV feed through her laptop while I adjusted the tiny camera hidden inside a fake Bible. Classic, I know. Then a knock. Too short, too long, our signal. Claire opened the door, and he walked in.
Holloway.
Even taller in person. Smiling like a man who's never been told no in his life. Armani suit, flag pin. The smell of money and rot. Claire, he said, like greeting a goddaughter. You look radiant. Hope I'm not interrupting. Not at all, she said, voice like honey over broken glass.
He turned to me.
And you must be the brother. The dissenter. I didn't shake his hand. I have something you'll want to see. We showed him a few stills from the tape. The ones that hinted. Just enough to make his heart rate spike.
He stared for a long time. Didn't blink.
Just smiled. Well, he said, slipping the folder closed. That's quite a story. Very imaginative. And what do you plan to do with it? Claire leaned forward. What would you do to make sure it disappears? Silence. Then, calmly, Holloway reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a pen and a checkbook. Name your number. Kat's laptop screen blinked green. We had him. Bribery on tape, on mic, time-stamped. Clear as daylight. I stood. You just tried to pay hush money to your co-conspirator on federal property during a youth summit while wearing a lapel pin. He froze. Finally. That damn smile cracked. You'll never make it stick, he hissed.
I smiled back.
We don't need to, I said. We just need to make it viral. And as Kat hit upload, the truth exploded across every screen, every news app, every device in the country. Senator Holloway had just become America's favorite villain. But we weren't done yet. Because what we'd uncovered wasn't just a crime. It was a system. And we'd only just blown off the first layer. It started like a tremor. The clip of Holloway offering a blank check to Claire hit 200K views within an hour. By dawn, CNN had it framed under Senator Bribery Bombshell, Dark Ties to Youth Program Scandal. By noon, it was war. Anonymous sources came forward. 2 more girls, then 5. Former aides, whistleblowers, a retired IRS agent who claimed files were buried under orders from above. Every domino we tipped sent 3 more crashing. The internet did what it does best. It fed the fire. Claire's face was everywhere. Not the perfect wedding photos, not the posed Instagram smiles, but a freeze frame from the Marriott video, staring down Holloway with eyes like sharpened steel. Some called her a hero. Others weren't as kind. Redemption was never free, but she didn't flinch. 3 days later, she took the podium herself. No PR team, no speechwriters. Just her and a shaky mic in a crammed high school auditorium, packed with survivors and reporters and ghosts in the crowd. She read names. She told the truth.
She cried.
And when she stepped down, the room stood. Even Dad. Yeah, he was there in the back, silent, hollow, no tie, just that looked like something inside him finally cracked, and whatever was left had the decency to feel ashamed. They opened an investigation into him 2 weeks later. Turns out the man who weaponized shame couldn't outrun his own paper trail. Claire gave them the records, the bank accounts, the notarized statements. Every name, every wire transfer. She told me she cried that night. Alone.
I didn't ask why.
I didn't need to. I spent those days rebuilding. Quietly. Our little startup, it exploded. Investors came out of nowhere. We rebranded, repurposed. Built out tools for whistleblowers. Anonymous reporting. Encrypted confession vaults. Turns out truth pays better than guilt. Kat and I aren't together, but we're still a team. She says love isn't linear. I say trust is messier than code. Don't try to fix what's not broken. We just keep moving. And Marcus? He pleaded out. 12 years, no parole. Tried to spin a redemption arc on local news before sentencing. Didn't land. Someone dumped a milkshake on him outside the courthouse. Made it a meme. Viral. Senator Holloway? Resigned. Still under investigation. Last I heard, his lake house burned down under uncertain circumstances.
Shame.
As for me, sometimes I still hear Dad's voice. If you don't show up to your golden sister's wedding, we'll cut your tuition. And I laugh. Because I showed up all right. I didn't just attend the wedding. I buried the whole dynasty. We didn't just burn the house down. We danced in the ashes.